This isn't fiction. Every name, every place, every moment you're about to hear is real. A respected doctor, a loving wife, a pillar of her community. Until one summer night, when her perfect life was shattered by the people closest to her. This is the true story of Dr. Teresa Sievers and the deadly secret that no one saw coming. The truth doesn't hide forever. From whispers to breaking news, this is Now You Know News, your front row seat to the world's darkest stories. The call came in just after 9 a.m. Bonita Springs, Florida, a quiet, sunny neighborhood where people left their doors unlocked. But that morning, a 911 dispatcher heard something different. A woman's voice, trembling, frantic, said she'd just found her friend on the kitchen floor. Dr. Teresa Sievers wasn't breathing. When deputies arrived, they were met with a scene that didn't fit the setting. Teresa, 46 years old, a mother of two, and one of the most respected holistic doctors in the area, was dead. Her body lay just inside the home's entryway, brutally beaten. The air was heavy with copper, the smell of blood mixing with Florida humidity. Detectives could see right away, this wasn't a robbery. Nothing of value was missing. It was personal. By that afternoon, Bonita Springs wasn't quiet anymore. Yellow tape, flashing lights, and the sound of whispered disbelief filled the street. Neighbors stood in driveways, watching investigators go in and out of the house that used to glow with family laughter. The question rippled through the community. Who would want Teresa Sievers dead? Before that morning's horror, Teresa Sievers seemed unstoppable. She was the kind of doctor patients didn't forget, blending science and spirituality, medicine and mindfulness. Her holistic clinic was a local success, her energy infectious, her message one of balance and healing. She talked about destiny, purpose, the idea that everything happens for a reason. But no one could have imagined how those words would echo after she was gone. Teresa lived in a bright, cozy home in Bonita Springs with her husband, Mark, and their two daughters. From the outside, they were the picture of a loving family, vacations, charity events, and matching smiles in Christmas photos. But behind those smiles, the couple was struggling. Mark was restless, moody. Friends noticed tension, short tempers, strange late-night arguments. Still, Teresa believed in fighting for what mattered. When she left for a medical conference in Connecticut that June, she texted friends that she couldn't wait to get home to her girls and to Mark. On June 28, 2015, she landed back in Florida late at night. No one knew she was coming home early. Her family was still out of town. Teresa unlocked the door just after midnight. The house was dark, quiet. By morning, she was dead. The next morning, when Teresa didn't show up for work, her office staff grew worried. She was never late, never unreachable. A friend drove to the house to check on her, and what she found would haunt her forever. Teresa Sievers lay face down on the kitchen floor, bludgeoned to death. There were signs of a violent struggle, blood spatter on the walls, broken glass near the counter. Her purse was still there, her car in the driveway. Nothing was stolen. This wasn't a break-in. It was personal. Detectives from Lee County Sheriff's Office descended on the quiet neighborhood. Neighbors said they'd heard nothing unusual that night. No screams, no alarms. But when investigators checked the home's alarm system, they noticed something odd. The system had been disabled just hours before Teresa got home. Then came the cell phone data. Detectives traced Teresa's phone and found a series of late-night texts between her and Mark. Nothing alarming. But when they checked Mark's own phone, a strange pattern appeared. In the days before the murder, he'd been making long calls to a man in Missouri, a name detectives didn't recognize, Curtis Wainwright. The same name popped up again in Teresa's funeral arrangements. Mark had listed Curtis as his best friend. And when police ran his record, they found more: prior arrests, fraud, and a history that didn't fit with a family friend. Within days, surveillance footage placed Curtis and another man, Jimmy Rogers, driving from Missouri to Florida the same weekend Teresa was killed. A rental car, toll booth cameras, gas station receipts. It all formed a chilling timeline. By July 10th, 2015, just 2 weeks after the murder, both men were arrested and charged. And when police confronted them with the evidence, one of them cracked. He said they didn't act alone. The man who'd asked them to do it was Teresa's husband. Mark Sievers had built a picture-perfect life, a successful holistic doctor, 2 young daughters, a beautiful home. But behind closed doors, everything was falling apart. Detectives digging through the couple's emails and journals uncovered tension, money problems, jealousy, and marital counseling that hadn't worked. Mark worried Teresa was planning to leave him, take the girls, and move on. And if that happened, his world and his finances would collapse. Then came the insurance policies. Multiple life insurance plans, totaling more than $4 million, all listing Mark as the beneficiary. It wasn't just a rocky marriage anymore. It was motive. When detectives confronted Curtis Wainwright, his story confirmed their worst fears. He said Mark had hired him to fix the problem. They'd met weeks before Teresa's death, in a secret conversation after a wedding in Missouri. Mark told Curtis, "I can't live without her, but I can't live with her either." Curtis recruited another man, Jimmy Rogers, promising him quick money. They planned the trip, bought supplies, and drove through the night to Florida. And when Teresa arrived home early from her trip, they ambushed her before she could even take off her shoes. After the murder, Curtis said he and Jimmy wiped the scene, took nothing, and left. He got paid later, not with cash, but with help from Mark to cover his own financial issues. A favor between friends. A deadly one. The trial years later played out like a true crime movie, secret texts, jailhouse deals, and shocking testimony. Curtis turned state's witness, taking a plea deal for 25 years in exchange for his testimony against Mark. Jimmy Rogers, the so-called Hammer, was sentenced to life in prison. And Mark Sievers, the grieving husband who cried on TV, was found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy. The jury's recommendation, death. In January 2020, Mark Sievers was sentenced to die by lethal injection. As the verdict was read, Teresa's family held hands in silence. Tears, but also relief. Justice at last. In the end, justice came, but at a cost no verdict could repay. Dr. Teresa Sievers was more than a headline. She was a healer, a mother, a friend who believed in bringing light into people's lives. The kind of woman who'd work 12-hour days, then come home to cook dinner and help with homework. Her patients still speak her name with gratitude. Her daughters, now growing up without their mother, are cared for by Teresa's family, who've made sure her love is never forgotten. And her story, it's become a quiet warning that evil doesn't always wear a stranger's face. Sometimes, it's someone who once said, "I love you." For the Sievers family, time moves forward, but the loss remains. And for the rest of us, it's a reminder that beneath even the calmest surface, darkness can hide, waiting for the perfect life to crack.